the user, which gives a lot of trust factor. I come to this on later parts as well. Because of AI and instant results, people are able to trust the platform better. Rather than waiting for a doctor to come back next day and give feedback, the AI is giving immediate feedback. So today we have used AI or leveraged AI to scale our expert doctors' accessibility throughout India. So we are accessible in all PIN codes in India. And that's how our journey has been to democratize demo for India.
Thank you. My voice might be loud enough without the mic, but anyway. So thank you, Rama, for that. We'll come back to you for questions. Let me just go around the panel and then we'll do questions. So Sumod, very quickly about Sumod, he's been a technologist for a long time, worked on AI in various roles. Now he's the CTO and founder of AutoInfo.
Thank you. AutoInfo, we are very early stage, still figuring out particular problem space. Prior to that, I was CTO at Tata Sense, or Nico Robotics as it's now called, where we are building robots to go and help in GP. This is in agricultural robotics. And we've deployed about 50 of those machines in various parts of India. I think we are going to hit about 100,000 acres all over India. And now this year we are deploying in the US as well. So that is one journey. But again, along with this, I've done quite a few of, been part of a couple of AI first companies where I've been CTO at, a couple of them were acquired, a couple of them I consulted with them, and some of them got acquired, and also did some of this in the US as well, where I did my grad school. Yeah, that's my summary.
Lovely. So coming to Akshat, Akshat, you want to? So Akshat is the co-founder of Lumo. He is the latest addition to the SenseAI portfolio. So very excited to have him on the panel. Over to you.
Hey everyone, Akshat here. So as Rahul said, co-founder of Lumo. I have been in this field for 5 years now. Like initially after college, I ran my consultancy startup where I built language models and vision problems for niche domains. Post that with my product, initially in Instanters, we were a meeting consultancy tool, like Latika mentioned, notes and everything. We were first to do it 2 years back. And right now, we at Lumo help you deploy your LLM features at 10x faster speed at 50% cost. Our USP is, as many of I got to talk with many of you, cost is one of our USPs. We help you reduce your cost using LLM just for the precision and having all those hard lifting ourselves. Other is having you evaluate in the production especially, because mostly in production you rely on ground truths, and like in current scenario metrics rely on ground truth, and in production you cannot have those. So we help you analyze, evaluate in productions.
Thank you, Akshat. So I'll start with Sumod. So he used the word AI first, right? And as a fund for us, one of the key questions we want to always try and answer for a startup is what's the moat, right? Especially today when you use a lot of OpenAI. What's the moat? What's the technology moat for an AI company? Or is that necessary at all also? So that's the kind of question.
Sure. So I think we need to start off, I think it depends on the phase of your company, right? If you're in a very early stage, you don't know whom you're building for, and you don't really have PMF yet. At that point, I would say maybe worrying about the moat is, it's putting the horse before the cart before the horse, right? And so probably first thing, use the simplest approach, get something out, get it to users, get them to give you feedback, and then you can worry about, how to solve deeper problems. This is slightly different if you are, for example, a researcher and you're building X GPT, right, or X LLM, in which case it's a slightly different sort of a deal. Now, the other part of it is that now there are a whole bunch of companies who are making quite a bit of money. And I have this term I use. One is, what I call AI Sparkle companies, and other is like AI core companies. Right? The difference is that AI Sparkle companies are those companies you are a slight thin layer on top of OpenAI. That's fine for some amount of time. Possibly in the longer term, you probably need to think about it. It's not always necessary. For example, let's say you have an amazing distribution mod that can never go away, right? And you don't need a tech mod, then why worry about it, right? Unless someone is going to do 10x better than you technically, or technically they're going to do much better than you, and then others, then your distribution gets affected. But otherwise, you probably don't need it in that case. And maybe technologies I'm saying is that's not necessary. But at the same time, with the amount of change that is happening, it's quite possible that there may be some new model that can do phenomenally better, right? So you probably need to think deeper about it. But I sort of agree with what Rahul was originally saying, which is that very general models can do decently for most general tasks. If you want them to do extremely well, let's say you want it to solve, I don't know, 95, 98% of time, right, accurately, those could be difficult. I mean, you usually put wrappers around to make sure that it is a reasonable thing. But then once you start scaling, those wrappers become way too much and become way too hard to maintain them. Right? So you need to consider all of these things as well. I hope that's
so. But just double click on it. Like you talked about the wrappers, right? So let's talk about in reality when you use it. So let's take the LLM example or any AI example. And Raman, you're up next to talk about how you all built it. But what is your sense of this entire building stuff around LLMs? The issue one, of course, the underlying technology keeps changing, and that's a concern I've heard commonly from a lot of founders. But what do you do to stay ahead? How do you, if you want to build a moat, and okay, this is the VC in me speaking, I like to see technology moats, very, very clearly, I'm just saying that. So if you come to me, please come with a technology moat.
Sure. So I think now going to that side of the question, which is that how do you build those mods and what do you get into? So one of the things I'll say is that once you have defined the problem, right? I mean, if you can narrowly define the problem, this is again a very, very important thing, which is it's extremely important that if the founders are business and technical, they talk to each other really deeply about what your precise problem definition is. I'll give an example where this goes wrong, right? So once upon a time, we were doing a tech startup and we wanted to scan documents to do, and then we'll do a bunch of OCR on that, right? Now, the assumption at that point was that, hey, if we need to do this 360 degrees, meaning the paper can come in all angles, we need to solve for that. Now, Bharat is laughing there because he knows where I'm going with this. And we built this, it took us, about, 6 people, 6 months of 3-4 people. That's about, few hundred K, spent there, right? And 6 months later, we realized that, oh, you know what, our scanners are going to be as normal scanners. You just feed in and they just scan. And this was completely unnecessary, right? And this, it is not only unnecessary, the problem was that because we needed to make this work, the algorithms and systems that came later on also, we had to sort of make them handicapped. So you see the nuances around these, right? So define that problem very precisely. At that point in time, for example, if you had gone and asked, hey, what scanners do you all use? Let us say 1 second question, that would have made the problem a lot more crisp and possibly a lot more effective for us as well. Okay? I could give more examples, but
so we'll come back for more examples. But Rama, why don't you tell us about, your experience with AI? You've been building now in Vision for some time, and when you started building, there were no LLMs, there was no diffusion models either. So, also talk about data and your journey in building the Cureskin thing, and some of the key, if you talk about a few of the challenges you actually faced and how you solve them, that will get people to understand some of the things that goes in a journey.
Sure. So we started Cureskin for about, it's been about 7 years now. Initially, data was the biggest challenge. It's also one of the modes today as well for any AI company. Data of images, data of skin images, data of concerns, what are the treatments, and that was the biggest challenge for us. We started off with consultations, a simple consultation model on WhatsApp, or then started building an app on top of that, started slowly building our data. And once we had some critical data set, critical mass of the data set I would call, which does not give the greatest accuracy, but still good enough for user to perceive that, oh wow, this is something great. That's when we also started launching it in the app. People started using that, and that became a virtuous cycle. We started getting more data, and today I'm proud to say we have collected over 50 million images. We have done 50 million AI scans, and that's a huge mode for us to build on a lot more deeper AI tech on top of this. In terms of challenges of LLM, one of them is hallucination, as Rahul was mentioning. Also, for example, if you go today and talk to ChatGPT, you can ask why is indoor pollution more in New York compared to outdoor pollution. It will give you 10-15 points. You open a new window and ask why is outdoor pollution more in New York compared to indoor pollution. It will still give you 10-15 points. It won't correct you saying, hey, in New York indoor pollution is more or outdoor pollution is more. At the core, it's just a highly dense probabilistic model. So the way you talk to it, it'll try to respond to that in that context. There are many examples where I think Chevrolet had LLM in their customer support. One of their customers made the customer support say that they can buy $1 Chevrolet, and it is legally binding. And so LLMs, there is a huge challenge, as Rahul was mentioning, and as Sumod was mentioning, you can build very specific data models as well. So today, for example, for our customer support, we serve a lot of tier 2, tier 3 customers, and a lot of them need hand-holding. A lot of them are not very tech savvy and able to chat. They come on to calls and talk to a human. So there's a lot of human touch still involved, and people like that. And so way we are trying to leverage LLM there is help our customer support executive to narrow down the knowledge base to answer the question that user is asking. Rather than just throwing an LLM to the customer, we are adding a human in the loop, in between to basically filter and process and share it to the user in the context of what user is asking. Hope that answers the question.
No, that's very nice. All your AI has human in the loop, right? Even your image processing.